Over the next 10 minutes, we'll be challenging you to consider luck from a perspective you never imagined. This comes down to one key universal truth. Your belief about your own luck becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, multi-billion-dollar product, and it all came from a failure. Think you're unlucky? You're not unlucky. This guy is unlucky. He's a janitor from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 58 years old, cleans office buildings for a living, married for 32 years, drives a 2009 Ford pickup truck, but none of that makes him necessarily unlucky. Our second man, an electrician from Coventry, UK. He's 43, supports Coventry City Football Club, and that brings its own kind of bad luck. 2 kids, mortgage he'll be paying off until he's 70. This man runs a pet shop in Melbourne that specializes in tropical fish. Once got bitten by a parrot and needed stitches. Is that unlucky or just an occupational hazard? Next, insurance salesman from Toronto, divorced. Plays in a dad rock covers band on weekends. Nobody comes to their gigs. He's a bad musician. Luck played no part in that. High school maths teacher, Iowa, 39 years old. Coaches the junior basketball team. They haven't won a game in 2 seasons. This one's an accountant from Manchester, England. He's doing well for himself, but he is allergic to dogs, cats, and pollen. Ouch. I know someone who sells tropical fish. Number 7 owns a small plumbing business in Auckland, and about to retire. The lucky devil. He did spend his whole life fixing other people's toilets, mind you. And here's the lucky 8-ball. A supermarket manager from Glasgow. Just found out his car needs a new exhaust. That won't come cheap. Now, you might be thinking, okay, 8 ordinary blokes. So what? What's the connection? Here's the connection. They all share the same name. And that name just happens to be shared with this man. Their name is Brad Pitt. This Brad Pitt is a multi-millionaire, a Hollywood icon. He's dated and married some of the most famous women in the world. His face is literally his fortune, and he just happens to be consistently voted one of the most attractive men on the planet. Now, imagine you're one of the other Brad Pitts. Welcome to Dress Down Friday. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll be challenging you to consider luck from a perspective you never imagined. Imagine the excitement in a restaurant when the booking comes in. Brad Pitt, table 4, Friday night. The staff are buzzing. The manager is polishing glasses they already cleaned. People are quietly texting their friends. And then, a janitor from Wisconsin walks through the door, an electrician from Coventry, or a slightly jet-lagged pet shop owner from Melbourne, in his best shirt, wondering why the waiter looks so disappointed. That's bad luck, right? Here's the interesting thing. When you and I say, I'm unlucky, we tend to mean good things don't happen to me and other people get chances I don't get. The 8 non-famous Brad Pitts, they're walking, talking examples of expectations colliding with reality. The world hears Brad Pitt and expects Hollywood royalty. They walk in and the room kind of deflates. Nothing about their life actually changed. Same job, same family, same bank balance. The only thing that changed was what other people expected when they heard their name. That's the sneaky thing about luck. It's not just what happens to you, it's the story you compare it to. Our sliding door moment. Picture a time in your life when you thought, that was so unfair. Now ask yourself, compared to what? Compared to who? Let's break this down. We can think of luck as having 2 halves. 1, the stuff you can't control. And 2, the stuff you can influence more than you think. This is the obvious list. When you were born, your family situation, your health, your body, your intelligence. Being called Brad Pitt when you are not that Brad Pitt. Some people genuinely start life with more safety nets, more connections, more money, more time. We shouldn't pretend that doesn't exist. That's not mindset, that's reality. But then there's the second half. Research on so-called lucky people shows something interesting. People who describe themselves as lucky tend to talk to more people, say yes to more invitations, notice opportunities instead of reasons it won't work. And crucially, they keep moving, even when things don't pan out. In other words, they're not just waiting for luck. They're constantly bumping into it. Imagine if you treated luck less like a lottery ticket and more like a skill you can get better at. That's the good half of the lucky apple. Now in this week's Mindset Monday series, you'll have heard Uncle Mike's advice to James about the two types of luck. This was manufactured luck versus crafted luck. Let's apply this to our Brad Pitt story, because this is where it gets really interesting. And forget manufactured luck. Let's think purely in terms of crafted luck. Remember our janitor Brad Pitt from Milwaukee? Well, he could spend his entire life bitter about his name, thinking, "This is so unfair. Every time I introduce myself, people laugh or look disappointed. I'm just unlucky." And let's be honest, no one would blame him for feeling that way. But here's what he could do instead, and this is crafted luck in action. He could lean into it, not by shouting about it on LinkedIn, not by being everywhere, hoping someone notices, but by making it his thing, his unique angle, his memorable hook. Imagine he starts every conversation with, "Hi, I'm Brad Pitt." Yes, you heard that right, except I clean offices instead of starring in films. But I promise I'm better at my job than he would be. Suddenly, his name isn't a burden, it's an icebreaker, a conversation starter, a way to be memorable in a world where most people are forgettable. So let's frame this. Luck, or what we call luck, isn't just about what happens to you. It's about how you respond to what happens to you. Now, let's talk about why this matters for you. Because I'm willing to bet you've said, or at least thought, some version of this. I'm just unlucky. Maybe it's about your career. I never get the breaks other people get. They're just lucky. Maybe it's about relationships. Everyone seems to meet the right person. I'm unlucky in love. Maybe it's about money. Some people are born into wealth. I wasn't. Bad luck. I get it. Sometimes life is genuinely unfair. Sometimes bad things happen that you didn't cause and couldn't prevent. But here's the trap. When you label yourself as unlucky, you give yourself permission to stop trying. Because if it's all down to luck, if success or failure is just random chance, then why bother? Why put in the effort? Why take risks? You're unlucky, after all. The universe has decided. Nothing you do will change that. It's a comforting story, but it's also a destructive story. This comes down to one key universal truth. Your belief about your own luck becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Alright, so if luck isn't just random chance, if it also comes down to how you respond and what you notice around you, how do you actually get luckier? Here's 4 practical strategies you can start using today. Strategy number 1, reframe your bad luck stories. Think about something you consider bad luck in your life. A missed opportunity, maybe. A setback, a disappointment. Now ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How did it redirect me to something better? A friend of mine got rejected from their dream job. He was devastated, felt incredibly unlucky, yet that rejection pushed them to move to Canada and start their own business. It's now a multi-million-dollar company. He flies to meetings in a private jet. I also have friends who keep getting dumped. Lots, in fact. I've even thought about starting a dating agency. I'd call it Dumped & Co. Tagline, because getting dumped was the best thing that happened to you. You heard it here first. Anyway, one friend in particular, Susie, was heartbroken, convinced she was cursed in love. We went to this gig together, and I told her just to chill out for the night. And she certainly did that, so much so that her liberated and slightly embarrassing dancing caught the eye of a really nice guy. I vetted him for weeks before giving him my approval. Now they're getting married next summer. Bad luck or necessary redirection. Sometimes the unlucky thing is the best thing that could have happened to you. You just don't know it yet. Strategy 2 is a concept from entrepreneur Jason Roberts. Imagine luck as random particles floating through the universe. The more surface area you have, the more likely you are to catch one. So how do you increase your surface area at work? Next event, next meeting, next online session, speak to one extra person. Ask what they're working on. Listen intently to their story before introducing yours. If it feels right, share something you're interested in or thinking about building. Most conversations go nowhere. That's fine. But every so often, someone says, "Oh, you should talk to," or "We're actually looking for someone like you." And those coincidences don't happen to people who never open their mouth. People who sit at home, doing the same things with the same people, and then complaining about being unlucky. They've got a surface area of a pebble. Be a net. Be a parachute. Be a giant billboard that says, "Luck, over here." Strategy number 3, break your patterns. Richard Wiseman's research found that unlucky people are creatures of habit. Same routine to work, same lunch spot, same people. Lucky people deliberately inject randomness into their routines. So here's the strategy. Once a week, do something intentionally different. Take a different route to work. Sit on a different spot at meetings. Order something random off a menu. Strike up a conversation with someone outside your usual circle. Wiseman ran an experiment. He planted £5 notes on the ground outside a coffee shop. The unlucky participants stepped over the money without seeing it. Too focused, too anxious, too stuck in their heads. They sat alone. The lucky participants noticed the money, picked it up, walked into the cafe and sat next to a businessman Wise had planted there. They struck up a conversation. Same opportunity, different outcome. Lucky people had a relaxed, open awareness. They weren't tunnel-visioned on one thing. Your next lucky break might be lying on the ground in front of you. So break your pattern. Lucky things happen in the margins. My final strategy is called serendipity spotting. Serendipity is positive luck. Right place at the right time. Connecting two unrelated things to create something new. And research from Christian Bush shows that serendipity isn't passive. It's a learnable skill called biosization. Here's what you should do. When something unexpected happens to you, a random conversation, a weird coincidence, an article that catches your eye, pause and ask, what else could this connect to? Is there something here I'm not seeing? Could this solve a problem I didn't know I had? There's a great example for this. You might have heard it. A 3M scientist trying to create a super strong glue. But he failed because it was too weak. Bad luck, right? No, it is the biosization alternative. What if weak adhesive is actually useful? Result? Post-it notes. Multi-billion-dollar product. And it all came from a failure. Let me give you another example. In 1970, a man called Bernard Sado was at an airport. He saw one person pushing a heavy box on a wheeled trolley and another person dragging a heavy suitcase. Most people see two separate events. Not Bernard, he connected the dots. What if suitcases had wheels? Rolling luggage, industry transformed. Lucky people don't just notice things, they connect things. They see bridges where others see gaps. So, let's go back to our 8 Brad Pitts. Are they unlucky? Well, they got stuck with a name that set up impossible expectations and guarantees a lifetime of awkward moments. Objectively, that's a tough hand to be dealt. But think about it another way. They have a name that everyone remembers. They're instantly memorable in a world where most people are instantly forgettable. Let's assume it wasn't just the janitor from Milwaukee that leaned into this. The electrician from Coventry. When he shows up to a job, people remember him. He probably gets referrals because people think it's funny to say, "I've got Brad Pitt coming to fix my wiring." The pet shop owner in Melbourne. What's the name of his shop? Brad Pitt pets. Built-in marketing. Zero intellectual property risk. Those men got handed something difficult, but if they chose to, they can turn it into something interesting, something useful, something uniquely theirs. That's not luck, that's choice. From that point on, their luck is no longer defined by who else shares their name. It's defined by what they do next. And that's what I want you to take away from this. You're going to have bad things happen to you. Everyone does. You're going to miss opportunities, face setbacks, deal with disappointments that feel completely unfair. And when that happens, you can call it bad luck. You can decide the whole universe is against you. You can close yourself off and wait for things to get better on their own. Or you can ask yourself, what can I do with this? How can I use this? What might this be redirecting me toward? And hopefully the driver of that car is your next big opportunity, not a psychopathic murderer. The truth is what we said earlier. Luck isn't just about what happens to you. It's about how you respond to what happens to you. And if a bunch of regular guys named Brad Pitt can figure out how to make their unlucky situation work for them, so can you. Over the next year, you can go all in like Susie and dance like a mad person at a socially acceptable venue, or you can quietly double your luck surface area. One extra conversation, one small experiment, one visible piece of work, one moment of noticing where things actually went your way. From the outside, people might say, wow, you've been really lucky lately. But you'll know the truth. You didn't just get lucky. You learned how to work with luck. Let's make a deal. Why not start today? Oh, and if you share your name with another heartthrob, billionaire, or professional sports person, we get you. See you next time.